why are we still asking for aid?
Why keep mopping the floor when you haven't tried to turn the tap off?
Oof.
But the aid business is not really about aid. I think it's a misnomer.
Oh, tell us.
For every dollar of aid given,
Yep.
the donor gets 5 back.
Yep.
Parliament in many ways was fun. But in many ways it's not desperately serious.
Really?
You know, there's a lot of frivolous debate. And I would say that if most people really understood what their representatives were doing, they may not vote them in the next time.
So do you think politics rewards righteousness?
The answer to your question is no, it doesn't. The other side of the coin is this. If, let's put it in inverted commas, every righteous person avoids politics, then who's left?
Wow. Welcome to the Superhuman Mindset Podcast.
If you don't have belief in what you're doing, it'll be very, very hard for you to get others to believe and follow on.
What do you want people to remember about you?
And you know, there's a small, still voice within you.
Think deeper, live higher. Most people only see leadership from the outside. They never know what's happening on the inside. And today, we are opening the door. I am privileged to be sitting with this amazing guest, Honorable Joseph Annan. I call him Citizen Annan. You've done it all. From the UN, Deputy Minister of Trade, Education, economist. Uncle, you've done everything. I am excited to have Citizen Annan with us on the Superhuman Mindset Podcast. And today, we are going to open the door to talk about what happens behind the scenes of leadership, where power meets purpose. So, Uncle, welcome.
Felix, the pleasure is mine.
Wow. So, what have you been up to in the last 30 years?
Well, maybe I should start a bit further back, you know, in the last 50 or so years. You know,
oh boy.
If you take my professional life, I started life off as a dental surgeon. I worked in hospitals and had a practice in the UK. And that took me to work as an oral surgeon in Zimbabwe. You know, I was very attracted to Mugabe's New Africa. So after independence, it became a real magnet for people like us that were thinking always in terms of where to be in Africa. And as a Pan-Africanist, Mugabe's Zimbabwe was very attractive. So I did that.
Wow.
Whilst I was there, the words of an old professor of mine struck me. You know, which was, we were working in the health sector, trying to do things, cure people, stop disease. And those words were, why keep mopping the floor when you haven't tried to turn the tap off?
Oof.
That was deep.
Why keep mopping the floor when you haven't tried to turn the tap off?
So that meant that the issue of prevention and public health in dealing with the problems of the health sector in Africa, in a country like Zimbabwe, in Ghana, others, was very important. So on the basis of that, we got into planning and financing of healthcare systems. And that's what led me to study economics. So that switch, I'm putting it in a package so that you can see. So there was a transition, there was a kind of a method in my madness.
Wow.
You know, in the sense,
dental surgeon.
Yes.
You're doing phenomenal. You are not even just working in Ghana, you're working across the globe.
Yeah.
Then you decide, because of that quote, because of that line.
That's right.
I'm going to go deeper.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And that was really engaging and very relevant for us on this continent, you see. So I ended up in London School of Economics and London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine. doing public health and economics, which then allowed me to move into an arena of trying to turn the tap off. But when you realize you're trying to turn the tap off, it's a development issue. And not only that, it also involves politics.
Politics, yep.
In decision making, policy and politics and decision making. So that was partly the shift. So by the time I came back to work in Ghana, I had transmuted into somebody who talks about things rather than doing them as a joke.
So we're not talking about you transitioning into Ghana, 2025, 2026. We're talking way back in the 80s.
1993.
1993.
Yeah, that's when I first came back.
Oh my goodness.
From Zimbabwe to Ghana, yes. An interesting time because Ghana too was flourishing into this, let's call it the democracy experiment for the fourth time.
For the fourth time, exactly. But who would want to come to Ghana right at that time though?
Well, lots of people actually. Lots of people bought into the narrative that, from a shift from the revolutionary days, from PNDC to this, that there was an opportunity. And see, and don't forget that through the PNDC period, Ghana was the blue-eyed boy of the Bretton Woods institutions. In other words, in theory, with the structural adjustment programs, we were supposed to have done everything right.
Okay.
And so it became a little bit of a hub of investment. I remember discussing with some ministers and how British investment, in Nigeria had shifted to Ghana in that period. So we were led to believe that Ghana was doing everything right. And that time it was like before this recent year of return and all these things. It was quite attractive. You would have found that in the early 90s, mid-90s, there was a lot of people coming to try their hand in the El Dorado of what Ghana then represented. People have forgotten that period, yes.
Okay, so you make that transition. When did you get into Parliament?
Oh, that was much later.
Oh, that was much later.
Yes,
okay.
The parliamentary effort was after my work in the UN. I was working for UNDP as a senior advisor, policy advisor, for a number of years. We were in New York. That was in the days of the height of the epidemic. So again, with the experience in development planning, first of all, I had set up a team of young Africans. Well, in fact, there were even one or two non-Africans.
Wow.
But there was a consultancy firm called JSA Consulting Firm that I had established.
Okay.
That were to train operatives, let's call them, in development and to see how we bridge the gap between aid and local capacity. You see. And so that led me to create a group of young men and women who then eventually migrated into the multilateral system, the UN system and so on. But that period lasted for a while until I moved to New York. When I came back from New York in 2008 was when I got into politics. Yes, so it's fairly recent. Well, relatively recent.
Relatively recent.
Okay.
Years, yes. So you were here during the initial time in the 1991, yes. 92, thereabouts, and then you went out and then came back.
For a short period of about 6 years. But whilst I was here, we worked in the international system.
Gotcha.
For trying to make international aid work.
Yeah.
Which is something that maybe we don't have enough time to discuss.
But let me ask this. Since we're talking about international aid and you've worked in all the offices for that, why are we still asking for aid?
I don't know. We shouldn't be. My position is that we have all it needs to develop into strong, capable, effective societies and nations. But the aid business is not really about aid. I think it's a misnomer.
Oh, tell us.
Well, because, you know, I always used to look, I'm sure you know about Oxfam. Oxfam is a big international NGO. And for many years, when you read their report, their first, the preface would always have something like, for every $1 of aid given, the donor gets $5 back. So that sets the scene for understanding that the aid is not about aid. It is
so for every $1 that is given, they get $5 back.
Yeah. So it's soft power. It's the idea of gaining something through appearing to offer assistance. What I must say is that being in the UN system for those years, I realized that perhaps emergency aid is in a different category. When you've had tsunamis, earthquakes,
that's different,
and you know, famines and things. But even then, that's a little entry point, because I remember, in 1983 in this country, here in Ghana, when we had the
big famine.
Yes. You know, at that time, this is roughly speaking, we were before the famine, we were 80% sufficient, self-sufficient in the production of rice.
Yeah.
And then I remember the bags of rice with Uncle Sam's photo on them came in for free to start off with. And then suddenly the Ghanaian appetite for long grain rice, American rice came in. And within a period of about 10 years, we were only 20% self-sufficient in rice. And that came through emergency aid. So even emergency aid, we have to look at with some degree of circumspection.
Do you think we're ever going to be free?
Absolutely.
How?
It's up to you. It's up to us. It's up to each individual. It's up to understanding the dynamics that we are, first and foremost, masters of our own destiny. And I don't think, you know, most of our leadership, whether it's leadership in politics, in academia, in churches, understand that. We've kind of shelved our personal responsibility for our own development and externalized it. The answer lies within. That was one of the phrases we used in our team in New York when we were trying to stem the epidemic. And, you know, we produced a document that this title was "The Answer Lies Within."
So if the answer lies within, I'd like to double click on that for a second. Who holds the power? Is it the MPs? Is it the ministers? Is it the government? Or is it the people?
Well, that's a difficult one, because here is the question. On paper.
I like this. On paper.
On paper, democracy.
Yes.
You know, constitutional democracy, hands over the power to the people. But guess what? They get to exercise it once every 4 years or something with a thumbprint. After which it's a bit like you've resigned. You've designated your MP. As a former MP, I'll tell you something. Parliament in many ways was fun. But in many ways it's not desperately serious.
Really?
You know, there's a lot of frivolous debate. And I would say that if most people really understood what their representatives were doing, they may not vote them in the next time.
Well, I mean, but I want to ask this because you mentioned that. I see some of the videos that we see online with people dancing in Parliament and then doing all of that. Is that really what it is like?
Look, there is You see, I came out of Parliament with one learning, if I can say. I took my time because, I was an outsider. I wasn't a professional politician. I came in late. But one thing I realized is that all over the world, not just here in Ghana, legislation or the legislative body thinks that everything has to be legislated for. But if you go back, in this country, for example, you know that a lot of the statutes from colonial times are still valid if they have not been removed. So every time we have a problem, let's say galamsey, and people say, oh, let's legislate for such and such, aspect of galamsey to stop this scourge.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, my argument is that there are enough existing pieces of legislation that you can use smartly to actually curb most problems. So so sometimes, in Parliament you think, we've worked hard and we've pushed through this law, and now we're waiting for presidential assent, and therefore everything is all right. But the legislative framework is very rarely what is required for on-the-ground implementation to bring about change.
So I like that you talked about Zimbabwe, you talked about Mugabe, you talked about what you've seen here, what you've done, what you've experienced. I still go back to the things that I have seen in the last 20 years. Good men do not last in politics. Why is that? We talk about the problem that we're seeing. They want to come in, they want to make that change.
Yes.
They don't want to do the aid and everything, but then they don't last. Why?
Well, there are several layers.
Okay.
You see, I think the first one is to understand that politics is about systems and institutions. And it's about power. Existing structures of power, in the sense that it is only a manifestation of who controls largely economic, but sometimes social power. So if you come in and you are not compliant to the power structures, then you might find, even in a bicameral system like ours or like elsewhere, in my own experience, for example, I experienced that both sides, although I was in one party, well, the other parties were in their part, but in a sense, my attitude and approaches posed a threat to them, so they came together to ensure that I didn't make it in the next parliamentary elections. Very interesting.
Wow.
Yes, I mean it's and I sometimes jokingly tell my political friends that if we can get together the two sides to squeeze somebody, why don't we get together to create rather than uncreate? And so that's the thing. But so we've got systems in place.
Yes.
We've got power structures in place, not least because most of these power structures are marionetted, are controlled outside our shores.
Oh.
That's the thing.
Oh.
I mean, today we are in the beginning of January, and we've all heard, and with regret, what has happened, for example, in Venezuela.
Yeah.
But before that, what happened in Nigeria?
Yep.
Before that, what's happening in Sudan? Before that, what's happening in Gaza? Before that, what's happening? So I always invite every leader, everybody who's interested in power, not to disaggregate the issues. I think the importance is to see the connections.
Connections.
From the inside to the outside and from the outside to the inside. Yeah.
So then in your view, would you say corruption is learned or it's inherent?
Corruption, I would argue, having been in the system, is inherent in the system of multi-party democracy. Here's why. Because to get elected, whether you are an assemblyman, who, by the way, these days are all called honorables,
Yes.
and or an MP or a presidential candidate, the kind of financial arrangements that have to be put in place require that those people who will help you to get into power, in the end, come to collect their gold coin. And I don't think...
So it was leased.
Yes, it was leased. So that's... And it's a problem, and we're seeing more of it. I would say, I mean, this may perhaps the chance for me to say this, that I do feel that the democratic dispensation is failing us, not just here in Africa, but worldwide. I mean, look at the products we have in the so-called advanced countries. I won't mention any names. But, you know, the characters I'm talking about, these people are a disgrace to humanity. And it's sometimes you ask yourself, why is it that we continue to go and put our thumbprint down for such a... So now the question is, the obvious question is, so what's the alternative?
Yes.
Well, the alternatives are not easy to come by. And I think it was Winston Churchill who said that democracy is not a failed system, but unfortunately ineffective system, but is the best that we have. Well, I would like to challenge that, to see whether we can together come up with something that works better for us African countries, in the sense that, you see, we have a chance. Paradoxically, we have more of a chance than, let's say, Europe and America and the so-called established world, because their level of control is so tight that most of the ordinary people are not aware that they are being taken for a ride.
So let me make sure I'm hearing this. You are saying we have a chance better than the Europeans?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
I mean, if I'm understanding everything we've been talking about, there seems to be this line of, if you do not play ball, you are going to be made to play ball.
Yes. Unless you're a good dribbler. You see, unless you're bold, unless you have the people behind you. You see, what, for example, you're witnessing in Venezuela today is that the hope of most of ordinary people who are protesting around the world today, as we speak, is that the Bolivarian revolution is not dependent on one man and his wife. Do you understand? So if people are then bold enough and prepared to come forward and say, this is the alternative, and then the powers that be to say that this is not the alternative, down, then there's the next row, and then the next row, the next row. And I think that's how most change in the life of humanity has come about.
Guys, you're listening to the Superhuman Mindset. If you have not subscribed, you need to pause this video right now, hit subscribe, like, and share. We are having conversations that nobody wants to ask. Conversations that people are afraid to ask. Those are the things we're talking about here today. And Citizen Annan is just giving us all the behind the scenes of what happens. Now, my question for you, Uncle, is, Uncle Joe, Gaddafi tried. Mugabe tried. Kwame Nkrumah tried. Lumumba tried. The list goes on.
Yes.
Are you saying they were not all good dribblers?
Well, they passed the ball. That's the important thing. You see, they dribbled and did so much sacrificed, in many cases, their lives, and they passed the ball. Now the question is, what did we do with the ball?
Oof.
So that's the way that I see it, because, you know, it's teamwork. And it takes, on average, football pitch, 11 or 12 people. Well, if you have the ref on your side, then it's 12.
12, yeah.
But they passed.
So get the ref on your side.
And unfortunately failed. But yes, the hegemon, in terms of who the groups are that are running the world today, are very powerful. But it is no license for us to give up. Because, for example, you know, I see this Trump era as more as an opportunity than a problem. Why? Because there's infighting amongst the global elite.
Yeah.
You know, not because there's any fundamental difference in philosophy, strategy, and commitment to international capitalism, but it's a question of pace and personal interest, do you see? And whilst they're busy disaggregating themselves, it's an opportunity for us to also realign with our neighbors, to realign with other interests. I mean, I don't want to get deep into politics, international politics, but the notion of BRICS, for example, needs to. I was asking a friend the other day, what about, is Ghana going to put up its hand and say, can we join BRICS? You know, and to see the opportunities that come out of a world that is in turmoil. You know, that old adage that, well, you got to break eggs to make an omelette. Perhaps you make sure that you're the chef that can put the spices.
But are we really the chefs, though?
You've got to fight to be the chef.
How are we going to do that? We've seen people back from slavery days. I remember my grandma used to tell me the story. She would say, whenever the slave masters would grab them and then, you know, have them in shackles, and then they would put this gun with the gunpowder in it, sitting facing them, and then they would say, if you wanted to go to the bathroom, you have to talk to the gun and say, I want to go to the bathroom. And if anyone deviated from it, they had someone grab the gun and then shoot them. And that same thing has been, if you deviate from the path, we are going to take you out. It has been consistently done over time, proven over time. Now we are still taking aid. Now we are still taking loans. Now we are still repeating the same things over and over and over again. And you are saying, yeah, we can be the chefs.
Yes, because history shows us that. You see, for example, after the turmoil of the Second World War, it was an opportunity that spurned all the independence movements from India, Indonesia, Ghana, the entire African side. So you've got to be alert. It's a phrase that I coined the other day of positive opportunism.
Positive opportunism.
We've got to be ready like a lion, like a cheetah, like a fox in the bush to pounce onto the opportunity. Because history has shown us that's the thing. Because whatever we say, life is not the same as it was under colonialism. We've made some progress.
Absolutely.
We'd agree with that, right?
Absolutely.
Exactly. So we've made this positive advance. And yet neocolonialism had a chance to wind us back. And now I think we are 60 years or so on at a point where this positive opportunism has to be explored. And I think it's possible, but it needs a mindset shift. To understand that A, we're not just going to pay lip service to unity and so on and so forth, but there are practical examples that are emerging. I don't know what is going to happen with the AES, that's Mali, Burkina, and Niger, but they're trying.
Yep.
You see. And we know there's going to be pushback. In fact, Traore recently said that we are facing a black winter. That is what's coming, which is quite onerous. But it does mean that we've got to come together. And it also does mean that when we see efforts by individuals, let's pick one up. Let's say like Dangote, for example.
Yep.
We recently followed what's happening to his refinery and so on. It's a direct result of the international system, powerful system, to put him down. But what level of effort are we seeing from other African magnates, other African countries to support? Do you see? So if we can have that mind shift, so that Kwame Nkrumah's Pan-Africanism is translated into practical action.
Yeah.
In terms of saying, like, for example, what can we do to support this man who, although, has gone into cement and so on, and so many other cases.
Yeah. And that comes with trust, though. So I ask you this: who did you trust that you shouldn't have?
Who did I trust that I shouldn't have?
Yeah.
I don't think I have any real regrets about trust, because I have a simple philosophy. I trust you until you show you are untrustworthy. Why do I do that? Because I think it's all about opportunity. Because whilst I'm trusting you, we are achieving something.
Yep.
Now, if you let me down, I usually position myself in such a way that, well, I feel, thanks to the grace of the universe and everything, that you can't eliminate me. So it's like, for example, you travel, let's say we decide we're going to travel to Tamale together. And halfway through the journey, when you get to Kumasi, say,
I'm good.
Can't trust him.
Yeah.
But we've got to Kumasi, and then you continue the journey.
Yeah.
So I've come across a lot of untrustworthy people, but I do not have any real regrets to say, I wish I hadn't, because we are masters of our own destiny. They didn't force me to trust them. I decided to trust them. So I take full responsibility for the failure of the trust.
So growing up, I always thought about public service. Come back. My grandpa was an MP too. It's like, come back. I want to do something great. Was it worth it for you financially, spiritually, emotionally?
Oh, yes. I would say, let's take the financial aspect first. I was self-funded, to become an MP. I wanted to become an MP because, in all honesty, I had observed the presidential candidate, which was John Evans Atta Mills, from afar. I didn't know him personally.
Wow.
And I read quite a lot and, discuss with people. And I thought that this is the kind of leader that not just Ghana, but Africa needs. At the time, I was working for the UN, so I decided to resign my position and come and see what we could do together. And we got on really well. So that was a kind of a financial burden, not a burden, but a choice. On my side. And so I don't regret it, because it's like saying that you want to do a PhD and you fund yourself to do a PhD, because what I've learned in the political arena is priceless.
Yeah.
Getting close to the power dynamics, getting close to see how a nation is governed and how things pan out. Most people never get that chance. And it's huge learning, big experience.
So do you think politics rewards righteousness?
Politics rewards righteousness. I think it's what you make of it. I mean, I think the system, as I've already described, not just in Ghana, but globally, is broken. So on the face of it, the answer to your question is no, it doesn't.
So would you tell your kids to get into politics?
If they're bold.
If they're bold.
If they're
you
bold,
need to be bold.
And if it's not about self. Because, you see, the other side of the coin is this. If, let's put it in inverted commas, every righteous person avoids politics, then who's left?
Wow.
Do you understand?
Yep.
And then I also believe one thing, that every nation or every community, every group gets the leadership it deserves. And that's one of the things I noticed at the time of Professor Mills, was that Ghanaians had a bit of a change of heart after the previous government. And they wanted somebody like him. But when he came in, then the attacks were there, and unfortunately, he went and spoilt it all by dying. But I think we would have had.
Oh my goodness!
We would have had a period.
Yes.
That would have represented a shift in the direction of the governance of this country. Because he was a genuine.
He
tried. He tried.
He was. May his soul rest in peace.
Yes.
Too short.
Too short. Yes.
What should young Ghanaians start believing about success?
Success is perhaps not achieved overnight. I mean, that's an obvious one. But, we live in an era of very short time spans, very short attention spans, very short an inability to wait.
Yep.
And what I find is that, first of all, at my age, you wake up and you think, wow, time has flown.
Yep.
So we mustn't be impatient, because, time, we actually pass through time, that's my view, as we pass through space. Not that time passes by. That's a whole big separate discussion. But if you see and organize yourself to pass through time effectively, you will be successful. It's a little paradoxical, but if you pass through time rather than let time pass by, you will find that most of the tenets of your success matrix can be achieved. Now, unfortunately, again, the measure of achievement these days is largely material. Money, which is unfortunate. Because, as I again jokingly say, I haven't been to a funeral recently where the Range Rover fitted in the coffin. So these are perhaps rather strong expressions.
Yes.
But you see, so what is it that you want to achieve? So when you tell the young people, Siabotar, be patient.
Yes.
And do something that, as it were, incidentally gives you money and status, not seek to get money and status first. Because generally speaking, and this is a personal perspective, and I may be wrong, if you chase money, it's like when you're chasing it, it's going away. But if you turn away from it, and then you just turn around and say, oh, something. Because you have a passion for what you're doing. You know, you have a dedication to what you're doing. And
so you attract money, you don't chase money.
You attract money through your own diligence and passion and energy. It's an energy towards, let's say, you know, if I spend 5 minutes to say I'm going to grow this plant and it doesn't grow and I give up and then I move on to the next thing, it's all dissipated energy. On the other hand, if the plant starts to die and I water it and I go online and see what fertilizer I give it and everything, then it grows. And then suddenly one day you're a plant expert and everybody's coming to you, and guess what? You're making a good livelihood out of it.
So Citizen Annan decided he would move to Ghana. I think you mentioned you had 3 years to your 40th birthday, and you said, by hook or crook, I gotta make it here. What would you tell him if you were looking at him right now?
Worthwhile decision.
Wow.
I would say so. Because here is the challenge, and maybe many of your listeners are diasporans.
Yes.
But I do feel that don't leave it too late to make the move. Adjustment becomes more challenging. And you'll end up complaining a lot. Not that I don't complain, but you know, you will end up so. Yes, I squeezed in on my birthday. You know, just on my 40th birthday, I had made a commitment to myself.
Yes,
and I did come back then. But I think it's been very worthwhile with all its ups and downs, because the opportunities here are much more. Again, you might not see it than there are outside. You know, the other day, I don't travel much these days, but I saw, you know, incoming flight. And I was thinking, what are all these foreigners coming to do? You know, and then,
30 December.
You know, no, I mean, before, you know, the coming to, so you see some very hapless looking Europeans and Americans, you know, all coming in, small suitcase. Come try their luck in the El Dorado of Ghana. You see. And yet, those of us here can't see the wood for the trees.
Oof.
We are looking, but we can't see. At the end of the day, we have the resources.
Wow.
We have the human resources. And we have that resource I was talking about, time. Because guess what? The demographics favor us. You have a young population. This is where to invest.
Well, so we have the resources, we have time, and then we have the human resources as well.
Yes, the human resources actually represent time.
Time. Wow. So there's that young guy who's getting out of college in Ghana. There's the other person who is in the UK thinking about coming, or in the US thinking about coming back home. What would you tell them right now to close us out?
The one who is finishing college here,
yes,
wanting to go out,
and then the other one who's saying, "I got to come back home."
Well, I would, and it's not easy because I do this all the time. I speak with a lot of young people and convince them not to go. To try to, sometimes, you know, I'd get desperate and say, yeah, okay, you might as well go check it out. But I think that if they're patient and study, think out of the box. I mean, I know that's a bit of a cliche, but if you see opportunity, if you learn to see opportunity where others can't, so many people have made it.
Wow.
And the one who wants to come back, of course you encourage them to come back. And that's what everybody did. You know, the Chinese, the Indians, they went to Silicon Valley and they humbly say to, listen, I can't pay you the same was what you earn in Seattle, but come back home and that also requires a shift in the Ghanaian institutional framework and a shift in some of our own attitudes, because we can be quite unpleasant towards our own kind when they come back. I've experienced it. Many have experienced it. Say, hey, Charlie, remember that this is America, type of expression, which is unfortunate. But
wow.
I think that society can improve, because I know that in my experiences in China and in India and stuff, they also had to deal with that same tension between the returnee and the local. So governments, institutions, maybe religious institutions and others, can work together to frame it to create a win-win out of what they.
Wow. Citizen Annan, thank you so much. This has been amazing. I wish we had more time to delve more, because we have so many things to talk about. But it's been a pleasure.
The pleasure is mine.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank you very much, Felix, and
thank you.
We should do it again.
For sure.
Thanks.
Now, for everybody, today's conversation with Citizen Annan, we talked about what it means to pull behind the curtain. Who controls us? What controls our continent? The opportunity that is available for all of us. We talked about resources, why it's now the time for you to come back. And if you are in Ghana and you are not maximizing the opportunity that's around you, you better wise up, because we don't have a lot of time. Thank you.